So today is going to be a little bit scary because we are going to talk about ghost. And before you start rolling your eyes or before you give me the thinking emoji, the one that kind of looks like this, before you get into that, I know that we are past Halloween, okay? I am not confused on the calendar. But the truth is, it is after Halloween that the real ghosts come out, okay? The holiday ghosts are those ghosts that are keeping you from having fulfilled relationships, keeping you from going from pre-wife to the wife, keeping you from living the way that God wants you to live as a cherished woman. So let's talk about some of these holiday ghosts, because once I get into it, I'm sure you will agree with me that the holidays are the worst time for them. Okay, so let's start with the ghost of exes past. Yeah, as much as we love the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, there's something about being around family and friends, particularly when you're single, that can make you feel lonelier than ever. And because of that, we have a tendency when we are single to look at our past relationships and we get a little bit of amnesia, you know what I mean? We start looking at those exes, especially if we maintain friendships with them on social media and we follow them on Instagram or we like their Facebook posts, and we see them doing maybe seemingly better than us or even just happy in general, and we start to wonder, maybe I could have made that relationship work out. Maybe if I had changed this, if I had done that, we would still be together, and we would be so much happier, and I wouldn't be lonely this holiday season. And of course, it's even worse when this person that you dated and that you were in a relationship with got along well with your family and friends, because you know how they are. They're gonna ask, especially if you're single, they're going to ask, have you heard from so-and-so lately? How is he doing? And you're going to roll your eyes and you're going to smile and suck it up. But that's not what you want to do. You want to scream, leave me the heck alone. So here's the thing. I do not blame you for looking at the ghost of exes past and starting to think, starting to wonder, could there have been something there? Could I have saved this relationship? The fact is, the end of any relationship is hard. People don't give that enough credit. They really don't. When a relationship ends, it is like a death. It is a death of all the time that you invested. It is a death of all the hopes and dreams that you put into this relationship. It is the death of who you were in that relationship. And the best advice that I can give to you is to, instead of thinking about what could have been with this person, to really spend some time with yourself and get closure on this relationship. Because let's be clear about something. Closure is not reaching out to the person. Closure is not going and giving them a hug and smelling that familiar scent and all that. You can maybe at some point after you've moved past your relationship still talk to that person. I don't dismiss that. I know exes who get along very well, but real closure happens within. And real closure is being able to sit in yourself, sometimes in your pain if you still haven't gotten over that relationship, and being able to evaluate who you were as a person when this relationship started, who you were when this relationship ended. What are some of the lessons that you learned? What are some of the things that attracted you to this person? What are some of the reasons that this relationship ended? Some of the things that you could no longer tolerate about this person, that you were no longer willing to accept. Once you go through those things, once you're able to do the work within yourself, once you're able to forgive yourself for this relationship ending and forgive the other person, because in every relationship, both people play a role in it ending. Let's not be mistaken about that. Once you're able to do that forgiveness work, you will not only be able to move on, but you are going to be so much better in your journey to becoming the wife that you need to be for your future husband. Because you will be able to reflect, you will be able to learn from those mistakes. And I apologize, guys, I live in Atlanta, so traffic if you hear the cars, but you will be able to learn from those mistakes, and you will be a better woman for it. And you will be able to look at your relationships not as a series of regrets, or for my children's books fans, a series of unfortunate events. You will be able to look at those relationships as lessons learned, as time in the school of life, as time that prepared you to be the woman that you needed to be for the eventual relationship that you'll have, the one with the man who you will spend your life with, the one with the man who will cherish you and treasure you the way that you're supposed to be cherished and treasured. So that is one of the ghosts that we deal with oftentimes during the holidays. And there is another ghost, something about the holidays, I think is the end of the year when you talk about Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the beginning of the year with New Year's. It makes us very, very reflective, and I appreciate that. You should be reflecting on your past year, your past few months, your past few weeks. Everything that you go through is a learning experience, and you should be in constant reflection of the ways in which you have grown and are continuing to grow. But there can be a serious downside to that reflection, and that is the ghost of unmet expectations. And just drop me some emojis, maybe the little hand raise, or the little heart or the thumbs up if you can relate to this. The checklist. The checklist of, by a certain age, you're supposed to finish school. And then after that, you reach a certain age and you're supposed to find that great job, and you're supposed to just, your career's going to take off and it's going to skyrocket, and you're going to be able to move out of your parents' house by a certain age. And then, of course, we get to that certain age by which you should be married. And then by a certain age, you should have kids, have a kid. And then, of course, especially if you live in the southeastern United States like I do, there's the expectation that then you'll be working on your second and your third, because you're just going to be pushing all those babies out. But the thing is, if you are disappointed because your life did not work out that way, first of all, you're not alone. I can tell you from personal experience that the woman that I thought I was going to be at 17, I am so far removed from her. It is not even funny. Hi, Petra. And, you know, the expectations I had for my life when I was 21, yeah, most of those did not get met either. The expectations I had for my life when I was 25, a lot of those didn't get met. And I have to tell you, my early to mid 20s were really hard for me, because I was one of those really annoying kids in school. You know who I'm talking about. I was an honor roll student, and not only was I an honor roll student, I didn't have to work very hard to make honor roll. I didn't have to work very hard to make good grades. So life has a way of, when you start out with things being so easy for you, it comes back to bite you in the butt later. And I had a lot of failures, personal, professional, a lot of things that I set out to do with all this gusto, and they didn't turn out the way that I thought they would. And it was really, really hard for me to come to terms with that. And, you know, eventually I had to learn to, you know, take a laxative and let that ish go. Just to be frank about it. And once I did that, once I was able to pick myself up and move on with my life, it's true. that a lot of the things that I thought that I would have done, accomplished at this point in my life, I haven't. But it's also true that my life turned out so much better than I could have ever imagined. Because that's the way God works. We thank Him all the time for these obvious blessings. You get the pay raise. You meet some nice guy, and the two of you go on a couple of dates, and he turns out that he's actually not a weirdo. He's actually decent. You thank God for the new friends that come into your life. But we don't often thank God for our failures. And it's funny because, again, these failures that I had in my life, these things that didn't turn out in the way that I thought that they would turn out, God worked them out in my favor in, again, ways that I wouldn't have thought of, ways that there's no way I didn't know to pray for these things. I didn't know to want these things until they came. And, I am so thankful for that. And that is one of those ghosts that can be really hard to deal with, that ghost of unmet expectations. But trust me, you just really have to sit in the process. You have to wait on God. You have to learn how to trust. And you will be amazed at the opportunities that will come that, once again, you didn't know to pray for. You will be amazed when you go from pre-wife to the wife, that the man that you end up with will probably be nothing like you imagined he would be when you were in your teens or when you were in your early 20s. But again, from personal experience, I can tell you that the man that I'm with is so much better. And it's funny because, when we met, I was in my late 20s. And if I had met him in my mid-20s, if I had met him in my early 20s, there's not a snowball's chance in hell we would have dated. I was a different woman at the time, and I'm sure he was a different man as well. But if we had met earlier, it would not have worked out for us. So if I had been so determined to get married by a certain age, then I would have missed out on one of the biggest blessings of my life. So again, that is one of the ghosts that is going to linger during the holidays, because the end of the year is such a reflective time. But you're just going to have to let that ghost linger and learn how to let some of those unmet expectations go. So a third ghost that you deal with during the holidays, because as the holiday season comes, you are spending more and more time with your family, and you will meet the ghost of generational, let's call them generational patterns. The older I get, the more I realize how much I'm like my mom. And in some ways, I am so happy about that. Y'all, my mom is awesome. One of the best women that you will ever meet. And okay, I have a confession to make. Before this video, I was going to tell you that she's so great that I wish I could share her with the world, and that I wish you could all have some time with my mom, but that is a lie. I'm the youngest child, and I want my mom all to myself. I mean, my older brother and sister have technically had more time with her than I have. So I think I just deserve my time. Like, if they could just step away for a couple of years. But love you, Pam. Love you, Jermaine. But one of the things about my mom is that she is such a strong woman, and she is so independent. And that is great in a lot of ways, because the fact that she is strong and independent, she's raised me to be the same way. And that is awesome. But the downside of it is she has raised me to be strong and independent, sometimes to my detriment. And it's one of the things that my fiance and I had some serious battles with when he and I first started dating. And to be honest, we still have these issues sometimes, because when I get around her, I go into superwoman phase, and I want to take care of everything myself. And sometimes it can be hard to let the man that God has sent into your life to cherish you to actually let him do it. I know that can sound crazy, but I can't tell you how many times I've had some issue with, I don't know, needing extra money, and my fiance has been like, we're together, we're partners, of course I will help you with that. And I'm like, no, I can do it myself. I can totally do it myself. And he will get mad at me because he's like, I want to help you. I want to take care of you. It can be little things like this background. I wanted to put it up myself. And of course, because I'm short and I can't reach, like I fell and busted my behind. And then he came through and did it in just a second or two. And he was like, why wouldn't you just call on me to do this for you? So, that is one of the major ghosts that we see around the holiday season. Being around our family tends to magnify some of the issues that we have, that we get honestly, but just because we get them honestly doesn't mean that we don't have to deal with them, doesn't mean that we don't have to confront them. So what should you do about these ghosts? The ghost of exes past, the ghost of unmet realizations, the ghost of generational patterns. First of all, acknowledgement. There is nothing wrong with acknowledging the fact that there are areas in your life where you're still growing. I can tell you one of the areas in which I'm still growing. I've always described myself as being tenacious. You know what tenacious is? It's stubborn as hell. That's what tenacious is. And I get it honest talking about generational patterns because my father is too. So I definitely know where I get that from. And it's not an issue, frankly, that's ever going to go away. Like when you come work with me and we talk about some of the issues that you're dealing with, I'm not going to promise you that I'm going to help you get rid of them. Because frankly, you're not. We don't get rid of our issues. Talking about ghosts, they are ghosts that stay around. What we learn is how to handle them and to not let them handle us. So my tenaciousness, my stubbornness, I've learned to handle it. I've learned that there are things in life that are worth fighting for, and I will fight those things to the death. You best believe I will. But I have also learned that I would much rather be happy than be right all the time. So that means that I can't always fight to the death on every single issue. Believe it or not, I have to learn to compromise. And I get better and better at it each day. But yeah, that ghost is still around. So, I've learned to make friends with that ghost. I've learned to get better and I've learned to improve every day, and that's what matters. So again, we deal with these ghosts through acknowledgement. We acknowledge when we're not feeling 100%. We acknowledge that we have these lingering feelings about our past relationships and that we need to get closure on them. We acknowledge that we feel some type of way about the fact that, we thought that we would do certain things at certain ages and that hasn't happened. And once we acknowledge those, we learn how to take inspired action. So again, that ghost of exes past, you realize that you still have some lingering feelings. So this might be the time to talk to someone that you can trust, learn how to work out those feelings, also work out those feelings in yourself, write it down on paper, just get it out, and learn how to work past those and make a list of the reasons why that relationship ended and you are better for it. Those unmet expectations, okay, so your life is not where you thought it would be a few years ago, but now is the time to create a new life. Do you not realize that we are living longer and longer and longer? You have so much of your life ahead of you. And again, it's one of the things that I realized in my own life, that when I started to learn how to let go of the past and not only what did happen, but what didn't happen that I wish had happened, I started creating this new, bigger, much grander vision for my future. And I haven't looked back. And now that my age has a 3 at the start of it, I have created this vision, and I can only imagine all the ways in which it's going to get screwed up. And I am looking forward to those screw ups, because if my life is so much better now than I thought it was going to be in my 20s, I can only imagine how awesome my life is going to be in my 40s, and all the things that are going to happen that I can't conceive of right now.